In this town, sports happens 24/7. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
A blank and large drawing board for Nick Nurse to go back to between Game 1 and Game 2. The fans serenading the fans in Philadelphia because they got what they wanted. They wanted Boston. They got it. And the Celtics hand the Sixers a 32-point loss in Game 1. The final score, Boston 123, Philadelphia 91.
George coming in hot. Celtics dominant in Game 1 at TD Garden. A laugher. Not even close. Did what they needed to do on schedule the entire afternoon. And that's where we begin, Mark Dondero. The NBA playoffs are underway here in Boston. You couldn't have asked for a better start if you're the Celtics. Celtics, under Joe Mazzulla, 6-0 when winning Game 1, so a good sign. A great day for the Celtics. This is exactly the way they want to play basketball. This is exactly the way they want to show off their identity. This is what their goal is every time they take the court. Blitz the opposing team, shots falling, Avalanche City. This is what they want to do. And they played the game on their terms.
And they didn't take the foot off the throat. Didn't take the foot off the throttle there. That's exactly what you want. It was a laugher. I was telling you guys in the Glassman pregame, Dondero, I feel like the Celtics are back. Well, at least in the spirit of them facing the Sixers in the playoffs. It seems like a tradition anytime going up against Philly, at least since the trust the process days, and they've been making the playoffs the past decade against us. Just seems like a throttling and a depantsing every time out. I feel bad for Stenberg. This is actually his team. The executive producer for the Celtics radio network on
Philly
that
guy.
side of things. He is a Philly guy. I didn't even get to discuss Embiid with him if he'd be the difference maker. I thought going into the series that maybe his absence it'd be drastic, but even with the addition of Embiid, he might as well sit this out. Go ahead and rest up that abdomen, that appendicitis. Go ahead and rest up. The way you seem to be. I actually love Embiid. It's one of those injury guys like AD and Kyrie.
He's always injured. I don't know why you love him. He's always hurt. He's never there. If he
I'm
plays,
a Kansas
he's a
guy,
good
though.
player.
I'm a Kansas guy to be sure.
That's right. He's a Kansas guy.
Yeah, so
Listen,
I hate those roots. But.
So I said about 3 sentences. Okay, I'm trying to be as positive as I can because that's a great win,
and I'm excited.
And you're excited.
I am,
and I'm taking that into consideration. But I've got this knot in my stomach, and if you don't know me by now, you know I'm not good at being fake. I'm not good at being fake. I wish I was better at being fake. I'm a horrible liar. So I have this pit in my stomach currently because I'm supposed to come on here and, just wax poetic and give flowers to all of the Celtics and everything that they.
Who's the green goose?
I don't care, George.
Let it out.
I don't care.
Yes.
This type of win means nothing to me. Means nothing to me.
It is just a
It means
game.
nothing to me.
Well, they are handling.
I can't
business,
help it.
And
it means so little to me. I don't care.
But you're yelling like you're mad. But
No, I'm not
you're
mad.
happy.
I'm
You're
not
happy.
mad.
You're actually happy. I know this.
Yes. I root for this team.
Yes.
But this win means nothing.
It was
to me.
A smiley
nothing.
game, ear to ear, like good for the heart. That's what I would say. I'm a superstitious guy as well, so I like to compartmentalize these things. I don't like to get too high and too low. But I do think, and considering we are in the postgame here, so I will be taking calls on the other end, 617-779-0985.
And I despise the fact that people are going to think I'm,
right, you're happy.
against them or
Right,
something.
you're
I'm rooting for. No, I'm not.
Yes, you are happy.
I am extremely happy to see Jason Tatum do what he did. He looked like Jason Tatum.
Plus
That's
20,
excellent.
yeah,
Yes, he
triple-double.
looked excellent.
Yes.
But that's what Jason Tatum does. Great that he looked like Jason Tatum today.
Especially against Philly.
Sure. That's what he does. So I'm sorry. This win means nothing to me. It doesn't mean it wasn't a great game.
Philly doesn't get you excited?
No. The only modicum of excitement that I feel is the fact that Jason Tatum was back, looked like himself, and that we're going to have a playoff run. They're going to play the Knicks in the next series. That's what this is all about. The series against the Knicks. I have seen this game 100 million times. It just doesn't matter to me. Okay? This is the Patriots back in the day beating a team in the tomato can game. It doesn't matter. It's not impressive. This is what the Celtics do. I'm happy they won comfortably. It was a great game. They're so good. They played defense. They're skilled. They suffocated Maxey, I thought, for the most part. I didn't even think Jaylen Brown was all that good. He had that explosive third quarter, but in the first, I thought they had trouble getting him into rhythm early in the game. He looked a little clunky, and I don't really care. I'm not worried about Jaylen Brown. I'm just saying it's not like the Celtics played perfect, but they were good enough. Sam Hauser comes out 4 of 6 from 3. Great. I'm just telling you, it means nothing to me. It's a great win. I'm delighted. It means nothing to me.
And your concerns are valid, though, to be sure. I thought Jaylen Brown early on, the turnovers, the 3 fouls early on. I was interested to see the rotations going in. That's what I was kind of looking to see what we would do. It looks like, I don't know, we'll have to take it with a grain of salt, kind of like to your point. There was foul trouble earlier on, so, I don't want to give Missoula too much credit. It looks like especially the bigs, Keita, Garza.
Look, I'm not even saying take it with a grain of salt. I don't care. Don't take it with a grain of salt.
Well, I like
enjoy
to see
the
that
win.
the bench,
It was a good win. I'm not telling anybody to not enjoy the win.
wealth today, though, which is good. But is it saying anything? Is it? It's more of an indictment of the Sixers, and really, they're at the bottom of the conference. They deserve to be in the 7th, 8th seeding. I am excited, though, personally. Though I think that the Celtics play down the competition too often. So to see them to continue their regular season success and do it with the depth, with the bench scoring as well. Ron Harper Jr. has been a pleasant surprise. Baylor Shireman, I've been a big believer of 55. I have a 55 in my pants. Peyton Pritchard, what more can we say? But what can we glean? Probably nothing. We'll have to see if there is any hiccup, if anything. Will it be the end of the world? I don't think so. I would take a gentleman's sweep in this case.
I'll tell you what I'll glean. If you want to be, I'll be positive. I like the fact that Jason Tatum looked like Jason Tatum. I'm going to glean that because he was
pep in the step.
Hurt most of the year. He goes into a playoff situation and looks like himself. For crying out loud, I bet the over on rebounds. I think he had it in the first quarter. That's a great bet. Tatum rebounds. I love that bet. I'm not telling anyone not to enjoy the win. Make no mistake. From my perspective, for me, it means nothing. Absolutely nothing against that team. Nothing. So, good win, but it means nothing. The playoffs haven't even started. What will mean something are games against the New York Knicks. Like it or not, that's the Celtics season. So if you're actually trying to measure them and figure out what they are, or how good, or what a special year, or Joe Mazzulla's done this type of job, or he should be coach of the year, watch them against the Knicks. That's the biggest thing. We have a show to do today. I understand that. I'm happy they won. It looked really good. It meant nothing to me.
Speaking to the Sixers specifically, though, what an overrated kind of a team with talent, and then the process, they could take that and shove it. I try to invent ways for the opposition to win, and going into the series, I thought Maxey maybe trying to find switches on Hauser. I hate that Hauser's in the starting lineup personally. I would prefer Shireman or Pritchard, honestly, even though I like the dynamic that they're doing with the bench in the second unit. I digress. I just think that Hauser's a liability on offense.
Yeah.
So, for the Brunsons of the world to go into the next series, to your point, I think that the Knicks will be a little bit more savvy in attacking that matchup in the switches and then making Hauser the defensive liability, picking on him, getting him in foul trouble. And what they did with the bigs today and getting them in early foul trouble, it might expose the Celtics step because I was talking pregame a lot. I don't think Vucevic is ready. I've been praying for Vucevic to be that guy. Speaking of who should be the starter, it should be Vucevic.
Yeah.
I've been waiting and expecting for him to be that guy. I don't think so. I think there's something.
I had no problem with their starting lineup. I love Keita. I think he has good energy, got into foul trouble.
Great.
But you know how to beat the Celtics. You know how to do it. Can you avoid the avalanche, keep it close, and clip them at the end of the game? That's how you beat the Celtics. They will fumble the game away if it's close. You'll have a great chance to beat them. Can you avoid the avalanche? That's them. Okay? That's what you do. And it's just, I've seen this game 100,000 times. And the Sixers' problem is strictly Joel Embiid. You got to get rid of him. I don't know what type of package you could get for him. He destroys their culture. Maxey is a good enough first option. Make him the culture.
It's tough to go point guard first, but I understand right. Maybe build around like ITs of the world.
You can't do that with what's his name. I mean, Embiid is too often injured. He's up and he's out and in and out. Like you cannot.
If he can stay healthy, right? He's one of those big what ifs.
All right, I want to talk to some folks out there. Ryan is in North Andover. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing? Great win for the Celtics today. But, I got to say, like, you guys are playing all the hits today. It's like it's the same old. Like, it's we got a number 55 in our pants. It's a tomato can game. It's this, it's that. At the end of the day, you guys just got to say what needs to be said. They didn't have Joel Embiid. That's why you get the result you get. I 100% think the Celtics win no matter what. But the reason why the game looked the way it was is because they didn't have anyone that could answer to what Joel Embiid does, even though it's not that great. And another thing is like, what do you want us to do here? And, another thing, you already said there's a show that we need to do today. Yeah. But it's like, it just sounds like you guys are coming on the air to just like troll Celtics fans, and it's just weird. It's a very weird conversation. I just wish you guys were a little bit more prepared for the show.
More prepared for the show?
Love it, Ryan.
What does that mean? Nobody's been more prepared about the facts than me. I wish other people were more prepared. Okay, because I'll tell you the way it is. Okay, and the Celtics need to find a way to do things other than what they did today to win a championship. Nice. Okay, I don't understand what he was saying at the end of that call.
To his initial point, they really aren't anything without Embiid. They really have no shot. I cannot
obviously.
invent.
You can't win this series even with Embiid.
And I think it would be an indictment against the Celtics if they were to lose a game in this series. Even though I say the gentleman's sweep, I don't mind it too much. I just don't see where Edgecombe today was nothing. So I think that they're going to have to get the PG's going, Oubre's going, the Edgecombe's going, along with Tyrese Maxey. It cannot just be all Tyrese Maxey 40+. And this is where I would love the Celtics against a singular superstar team like the Giannis's of the world, and I didn't fear them at all. Because Gord, give Giannis the 40. Where are you getting the extra 60, 70? Where are you getting those points? You could divvy them up all you want. Again, I'll give you the roster. Here, how are you going to slice it?
Look, I'm not trying to rile anyone up. I don't care. I'm just saying this is the way I feel about the team. And I don't think this game tells me anything. If you're looking for meaning, I told you what my meaning was. Jason Tatum looked like himself. Right. That's good news.
They didn't play down to the competition.
Whatever.
Yes.
They weren't going to be in trouble against this Sixers team without Joel Embiid anyway. They could barely. Maxey looked overmatched, and he's a great player. I'm just saying this Celtics team needs to find ways to win when the games don't go this way, when they're not playing on schedule the way they want to play that fits their identity, okay? And if you think they're going to win a championship doing that, you're sadly mistaken. They're not going to beat, even if they get to the finals. Good. I hope they do. They're not going to beat OKC doing that. They're not going to beat San Antonio or Denver doing that.
Well, they did look like a well-oiled machine today, I would say. They did clean up the glass.
They did.
So it's good to see them crashing offensively. They only 44 threes, which, it's a sweet spot. I want it to be under 45, so they're right there where, I start to bat an eye. So it looks like they're going into the flow of offense. It's going to be, they are going to be a tough out, but to your point, it's going to be tough to glean the tougher competition when the Sixers are just the bottom of the barrel in terms of playoff teams.
They're so experienced. I loved everything they did. Let's get Peter in Boston on this. Hey, Peter.
Hey, what's up, fellas? I don't know what this guy Ryan's talking about. I think you're completely on it. Hit the nail right on the head. I just want to ask. I know you just asked about talked about the finals right there. At what point can you sit back in your chair with losing Tatum coming back from the injury, and then moving all those guys because of the payroll? At what point can you sit back and say, hey, we had a successful season? Conference finals? Finals? What is it?
So my answer to that question, Peter, is easy. Do they show any growth in the moments where I think they struggle? If I see that, I would be more impressed, honestly, than a run to the finals where they just, beat up on teams that are injured and they're blowing out teams via an avalanche in the second quarter.
So you are fearful of some teams in the East like Cleveland's and the Knicks of the world, Detroit's?
I'm very fearful of the Knicks. Are you serious? Of course I'm fearful of the Knicks. The Knicks the Knicks know what you are. That Brunson is waiting for you. He knows what you are. He knows. And Tatum knows that he knows. And Brown knows that he knows. They know what you are. They're smiling. They've got that in that face within, deep within, that just smiles, waiting for the Boston Celtics because they know what you are. Okay? That series, so if you want me to answer the question in another way, if they beat the Knicks, success. I don't even care if they blow them out in 4 games and do it that way, just because you've overcome the mental hurdle of what happened last year. Not just losing the series, but Tatum going down in the series and losing the 20-point leads. That would be a huge overcoming a huge obstacle if you can do that. That is a huge big boy series that's not here yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, so way to read in between the lines. I'm actually a little bit more pessimistic than you with over there with that angry, happy voice of yours. To me, it's finals or bust for the Celtics. They are the favorite in the East for a reason. I think that losing to the Knicks is a fireable offense. If they are going to do that the next round as well, then this team deserves to be blown up and assessed, a different way critically. So I'm gonna go East or bust. Even in the Eastern Finals, if we get Cleveland or Detroit, I find the Celtics to be the superior team, the team with the experience. Cleveland has yet to break through. They got the Harden trade, so I am a little weary of Cleveland. So I'm going to give them a puncher's chance. I'm happy that we don't see them in the second round. I'm more happier to see the Knicks. And to your point, I do think that it is a hurdle to get over for the Knicks, but it isn't one that's impossible for the Celtics to overcome, because I looked at last year as like that was an aberration. I mean, we blew 2 20-point games in a row, and then the Tatum injury, to Glashin's point, talking pregame, that was kind of the out for the Celtics. Like, we lost Tatum, so we weren't going to win it all. And to me, it's just like, no, that's just a convenient excuse. I thought last year was a debacle as the reigning and defending champions that the Celtics were in 24, excuse me. So it's finals or bust for me. And I do want to see how they look. Hopefully they're not going to be front runners. And I agree with you. They are not going to win a championship this season being front runners only. They are going to have to win these close and tight games. It'll be interesting to see the Tatum and Brown down the stretch if and when they cross paths with a tight game.
617-779-0985. We're going to keep on the Celtics here. Tatum and Brown looked awesome, and I think that's a recipe that they could take forward. The way they played was a great sign. But again, the Sixers coming in undermanned without their, everything NBA guy, get blown out. Good win, but how do you keep it going, and what's next? We're going to talk about all of that. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5. in sports. We're fans just like you. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
I blinked and this is already my 9th year. Like, I don't know how many more years I have left to play. Moments like this don't come around all the time where you have a real opportunity to compete for a championship. So for me, it was understanding the opportunity that, you know, we had as a team and with the team I was coming back to.
Jason Tatum looked good today. That's the guy we know. You know, I don't want to not give him credit for coming back, but I fully expected him to come back. You know, good on the Celtics for putting the team in a position for him to want to come back and for him where it made sense to come back. If they weren't productive this year and had a mediocre season or worse, he obviously wouldn't have come back. And they put him in a position to join a team that had the potential to do something. Credit to the Boston Celtics.
I agree with that.
Credit to the Celtics for the way they played today. Great win. Great dominant win. And I know I'm being a little bit unfair, but if they had showed over the years the ability to consistently win close games and pull out games where it didn't look like they necessarily should have won, or if when games are hanging in the balance late, they had this it factor where they're able to do that, I would enjoy these blowouts a lot more. So it's a little unfair because what did I want them to do today? Play down to a bad or subpar, inferior 76ers team and find a way to win a close game? Lose? You know, that wouldn't have been a good option. So they're kind of in a bad spot. No matter what they do, I'm not going to feel good, I guess. So that's not fair. The Knicks series will be different. That will be a different story because they're going to have to win close games in that series. They're not going to blow the Knicks out 4 games. So they will be put to the test there. In this regard, I think the best case scenario is that Jason Tatum looked like Tatum. And yeah, he should have come back. He's right. And I expected him to come back. He's a tough player, a mentally tough player. He's a relentless worker. All the things you hear about him are true. He's never one to milk injuries, and I don't worry about him getting hurt. I mean, I don't think he's like that at all. So the fact that he came back makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm glad he did come back because now here we are on the precipice of what will be a great second-round series in New York. I just don't know what you want me to take away from this matchup. What are you taking away from this matchup with the Sixers, other than just staying on schedule?
Yeah, I do get a little nervous and weary, you know, ever since last year, and I'll blame the Knicks for having this kind of trepidation. Celtics get up by double digits. I know how quickly it could turn. So 18 points or whatever it was at half. I'm still nervous now. Granted, the way that they were playing, they didn't let up, which is good. You know, they had so many times that they've let teams go on runs, and before you know it, you look up, it's down to 11, 10, 9. You're waiting for Mazzulla to call these timeouts. I think Mazzulla has improved in these situations, and he's not scared to sub out a player who is it seems like that they don't have a hot hand going for them. So it's tough to glean anything in this series, I would tell you. Now, to focus on the Knicks, though, because I do not fear the Knicks. I do not fear the Knicks whatsoever. I think that the first test for the Celtics will actually come in the third round.
How can you say that, though? How can you say that?
To me, they just let me down last year.
The Knicks, they're built to beat the Celtics. Bridges, Anunoby, that's length you acquire to beat the Celtics. Not only are they built to beat the Celtics, they did beat the Celtics last year. And in a devastating way.
They did. I would say it's a lot self-inflicted. Instead of giving the Knicks credit, no disrespect there, but I refuse to give them credit. I would think that we let the foot off the gas. We stayed chucking up the threes.
It's self-inflicted, but what have they changed? They're the exact same outfit.
I do think that identity-wise, and this it might be just circumstantial, but playing primarily with Brown as the ball handler and him initiating the offense, I think they started to play the right way because Brown is not one to dribble. Let me go ahead and hop step behind the three. Let me shoot that shot. No, he's more of a dribble drive, get the ball to the basket. His handle has improved, so maybe that the Knicks loss gave him a shot in the ass, and he went into the lab and got to work on the handles, which a couple turnovers today, but he has gotten better going left. He has gotten stronger, obviously. He definitely appears to be in his prime. He's taken that leap, and I think that the Celtics overall have embodied kind of that spirit of inside out. They still shoot over 43s, so I don't like that, but it is more of in the flow of the offense rather than dribble, shoot, no assists coming off of those, playing ring around the rosy, 5 guys beyond the arc, nobody in the paint, nobody moving. I think that there's a lot more. The Celtics offense is a lot better and versatile when you're working inside out rather than being reluctant in spot up shooting and pass to the corner, shot 3. And nobody in position for the rebound.
If you want to say to me that they should be favored against the Knicks, fine. You could say that if you want.
Yeah, I
to
think
say you don't fear the Knicks
in the Eastern Finals as well too, whether it's Pistons or Cavs.
Sure, that's fine. But to say you don't fear the Knicks is madness to me. I just based on what they did, and again, I just think they know who you are. Well, I think they know that you have
Bridges and Anunoby. Those first 2 names out of your mouth, you fear them?
Yes, I think they. I feel like that, and I'm not saying this. I am not saying this. I think the New York Knicks think the Celtics are frauds. I'm not saying that. I think the Knicks think they're frauds.
I think that the Knicks do not fear the Celtics.
No, I think they think they're frauds. I think they think if they can get him in a close street fight late, they will just crumble and they will win the game.
It's a hot take. It's a hot take, Mark. I love it. I'll take it.
No, but I just think that's what the Knicks think. I'm not saying that's what the Celtics are. I have concerns that they do that too often. I'm not saying that's their overwhelming identity because they do a lot of things excellent. Very well, obviously witnessed today.
And I'm agreeing with you to the extent just different verbiage. They don't fear the Celtics, so it's similar verbiage there. I just personally don't. I look at the roster. I thought last year was an aberration. I think it was a fireable offense. I'm glad that they stuck with Mazzulla. He's back on the ascension, on the Eric Spoelstra path of being the young prodigy head coach that we can, a la Mark Daignault. Shout out to Lemonster over there for OKC coach. So I have trust in Mazzulla now that the years before I really didn't have where it was control of the game and him implementing those timeouts in a timely fashion. Hooking players that are cold and reminding them of the right way to play. I don't think that they're reluctant to just chuck up these threes just because they're open shots. I thought that was too that philosophy word was being thrown around there last year that, wow, these guys really believe in just the open shot, not taking into consideration that they've missed 10 in a row for 3 or that the team is playing Horford 6 feet apart. Just like, go ahead and shoot that. They're inviting you to shoot that. They want you to shoot that. You're the 5th worst shooter for the team. Go ahead and shoot that. So I think the 3 is lazy. So I'm just not a fan of that kind of style of basketball. I think the Celtics have gotten away with it this year. It is a byproduct of the Tatum injury and Jaylen Brown being the man of the team for the bulk load of this year.
The Celtics didn't take they shot 44 threes. They shot 36%. It wasn't like they just pummeled them from 3.
Right, which I like.
Yeah, same. But again, it was an avalanche. Philly defensive. This is why I've never called them soft or don't think they play defense. It's not like they're just trying to shoot their way to wins with no defense and we'll just outshoot them, outscore them.
But what I would say to that is they had a propensity to, when they missed these threes, to then go out and play lackadaisical defense, and it affected them on the defensive end. So I'll push back a little bit and say that when they aren't shooting or they're shooting bricks and it's cold on offense, it is affecting them on the defensive side where they're not hustling back or transition offense for the opposition is leading for baskets. So it's all related, I would say. They need to have good half-court offense where they're working the right matchups. They have length in all positions, and then on the defensive end, right? I'm not too concerned about switches, unless it's the Hausers on the court, where I'm fearful of a good offensive team going ahead and hunting him and isolating him on a switch. So it'll be interesting to see. This isn't the team and the squad in Philly that to match up for the Celtics and test them, or to get that ideal. This is the barometer. This is the litmus test. Something to glean. We probably aren't going to get into the subsequent rounds, to your point. So
they averaged this year 42.1 3-point attempts per game, and they shot 44 today.
I would think that it's down, though, that 42 overall is down from the last couple of years.
Well, fine.
They're like,
but I'm just saying it wasn't
three
significantly less today. They did the same thing that they usually do today. They made around their average, too, 16. Their average is 15.5. So this was a Celtics game. This is the type of game they want to play. And it looked good. I'll tell you, when we get back, I'm going to give you the name, the key. He's the key. This is the biggest key that they have this season, this playoff season, or whatever you want to call it, will be the following name, and we'll give you that name when we get back. Mark Dondero, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98. Celtics, the Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Jaylen Brown. With Grimes on his back, dribbles to the elbow. Didn't want to attack Drummond. Gets it back from Pritchard. Now Edwards on him. Jaylen Brown pushed back to the corner. Shireman dribbles around George. Awkward left-hand flip shot from an impossible angle on the baseline is up and good.
All right, back here 98.5 The Sports Hub. Celtics crushed the Sixers in Game 1. I think Baylor Shireman is going to be a key if the Celtics want to have a legitimate run to the NBA Finals. I don't think it's just going to be able to fall on the shoulders of Brown or Tatum or White or Hauser. I think Shireman is going to need to be an impact player. And I don't mean somebody that's going to take over a game or do more than he can do. I just think he's going to have to be a guy that makes a few winning plays in big moments. And I'm not just saying this because of what he did in New York a few weeks ago. I remember Doc Rivers a long time ago saying that one day during this playoff run, Nate Robinson is going to win us a game. I feel the same way about Baylor Shireman. I think he's going to have to step in and do a little bit of what Kristaps Porzingis did for this team 2 years ago when they won the championship. Couple of games, Porzingis hit some big game-changing shots that helped catapult this team to certain wins and take some of the pressure off of Tatum, Brown, and any of the other primary options. I think that's going to be part of it. I think that guy I hope they feature him adequately. I don't think Jordan Walsh will be ready for the moment as much as Baylor Shireman, and I've been a Jordan Walsh supporter for a long time. I just don't think offensively he's got it.
I'm happy that you actually mentioned the name Jordan Walsh, too, because I think that on the circle of trust that he's kind of fallen out of love there in terms of first pickings off the bench kind of thing. I am actually in agreement with you. I love Baylor Shireman. Have a Shireman in my pants.
Yep.
Tell Liz, my wife, about him all the time.
Yikes.
I joke about the tattoo and the sleeve he has on his arm. He's just turned into a man out there. Kind of like Gordon Hayward when he first came in the league in Utah, and then he got to be the player that he was before the injury.
6'6", he has length. He can do things defensively, and he can make shots, and I just don't think he gets...
Gritty and underrated defensively, too. But his shot is wet. He's now in the playoffs. We'll see if that translates. So it remains to be seen, but it would be great to have him playing big minutes down the stretch. Another bench name I'll throw, besides the Peyton Pritchard, who is ultimately clutch for us, and we know what to expect from him as a dog. Ron Harper Jr., man, I'm high on him. He might be a fringe player, but I think getting him into the rotation as one of those wings, I am not disappointed in him. I thought he earned his spot on the team. I'm happy that they retained him, and got a couple minutes in garbage time today. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him earning a spot on the bench rotation, so to speak, in these tighter games.
Anyone with length and athleticism, I have a spot for.
Nice, the whole team, right?
I mean, I would love, as much as I hesitate on Jordan Walsh, I do think if he can find a way to become a defensive stopper, might be asking a lot, but just a nemesis that you could put out there on a guy that's hot. I always go back, I've said it before, that Caleb Martin series a few years ago when he was on the Heat and he looked like Kobe Bryant. Can you get a guy such as Jordan Walsh out there to cool off a hot offensive player, especially a guy that's not a superstar? Just let him be a violent defender. He doesn't have to score. He doesn't have to worry about doing that offensively. I mean, try not to be useless. But can you do something defensively that could help change a game? Tony Allen. Not asking you to be Tony Allen, but having something like that, having some impact akin to that would help. I just think Shireman will have to be the Celtics' big two are going to need support in close games, preferably by somebody that hasn't been infected yet with this, with their inability to produce late in games. Crochet again. mushy. Not a good start.
Yeah, something's off with him with the velocity. It's I don't know. Hopefully, it's just a cold.
Well,
his early season.
whatever
It's just-
breaking ball he's throwing looks
the
like
snap-
something I could hit.
Right,
It's
the
not.
snap
It's
is
not
there.
sharp. Real bad. Real bad sign. Hugh Sean is in Easton. Hey, Hugh Sean.
Yes, I want to talk about E.J. Brown. Everybody told me he's going to the Patriots. What do you think about that?
I think he's going to the Patriots, George. Thanks for the call, Hugh Sean. I think he's going to the Patriots.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
No, I think based on all the reporting, I think he's going to the Patriots. You know, it's become a little bit messy based on things that have gone down recently, but I don't think that's going to change the trajectory of A.J. Brown. And we can get into more on the Patriots in a little bit. I just wanted to mention that I think Shireman is going to play a big role in if the Celtics want to get to where they want to get to. And that's another question, too. What's a successful season? You know, what is a successful season for the Celtics?
It's an honest question because we have to move the goalposts and reset expectations based on, this is a gap year, and I don't know, without Tatum, our best player, I'm expecting to be a play-in team, a fringe playoff team, and by mid-season, you can kind of tell that the Celtics were going to be a top of the half of the Eastern Conference. Now that we have Tatum back, looks like we are on all cylinders. The way we closed out the season is highly attractive to me. I am not fearful of anybody in the East. So like I said, I'll reiterate, it's finals or bust. And then even at that, I'll hold out a disappointing season if we lose the finals the way that we did in 22 to Golden State.
I think if you beat the Knicks, I would put that on the line as a successful season. If you beat the Knicks, knowing what the Celtics have been over the last few years and how teams can penetrate their mind and get into their head, I think the Knicks have done that. I think the Knicks are a quality roster. I think the Knicks, like I said, think you're a fraud. If you could find a way to bounce back after what happened last year, beat them and just make a statement in a series like that, even if you find a way to mess it up and not get to the finals, you lose in the conference finals to a tough, younger, hungrier Detroit team or a Cavs team because, I don't know. I don't think James Harden's going to the finals, but if, Donovan Mitchell goes crazy on you, fine. But I just beat the Knicks. If you beat the Knicks, you can, based on everything you had to overcome this year, Tatum being out, Tatum coming back, if you find a way to get back to that spot and beat that team, win that series, success.
I'm going to say you're being too happy. You're too happy for my liking.
I'm too optimistic for you?
Too optimistic.
That's the way I feel, though.
Yeah.
I understand finals are bust, but again, he still knew it's been about a month.
But just
this rotation, if the guys we just talked about take this team to the finals, that's a big deal. This is this rotation, a big part of their rotation. This is their first trip to the NBA playoffs.
It'll be Brown, Tatum, and White to be sure, but
to be sure of what?
Well, that'll be the leading.
But you need. Hauser's been there and Pritchard, whatever. I'm talking about you're going to need Keita to perform.
Yeah.
You're going to need Vucevic to perform. How many playoff series has he played in?
No, yeah.
You're going to need a guy like Walsh or Shireman. Those guys aren't experienced in the playoffs. If they help you get to the finals, that's a big deal.
If they stay front running, I'll tell you. I though I'm not fearful of teams in the East the way you are the Knicks, Pistons, and others. So
I'm fearful of the Knicks. And I would respect the Pistons. I'm not fearful of the Pistons. I'm fearful of the Knicks. I think the Knicks are a big problem. Let's get a call. Will is in Boston. Hey, Will.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to call in on Baylor Shireman. I'm actually from Nebraska originally, so I've been following Shireman for a while. I've lived in Boston for about 10 years now, but, the guy is from a small town in the state. He's got what we called growing up just that farm strength. Grew up, probably throwing hay bales. He's tall and lengthy, but he's strong. He can shoot the lights out. And he was a great player at Creighton in Omaha. Almost took him to the Final Four. They lost on a buzzer beater. And I just think, he's got that chance to be the guy who could come off the bench, lightning rod, help us in those close series against the Knicks or in the finals. and do something magical for us. So,
all right, Will,
touch time and say that.
Let's see it, man. He intrigues me. Am I leaning on Baylor Shireman to carry me through a Knicks series? Absolutely not. I just think in one game he could make the plays that help win a game, that could turn a series or do, especially a game at home in the playoffs. I just don't think he gives an F. Right. I think he's unflappable a little bit. We'll see. I just like the prospect of what he might be able to do in a playoff situation in a big game.
As a Celtics fan, I like the ascension. I'm seeing the improvement in front of my eyes, and that's all you can ask for, and that shot is pure.
So we'll see, because they're going to need the help. Tatum and Brown, and, again, totally on schedule today. Can they win the games when they're off schedule? I remember saying this a long time ago, and I'm not comparing the Celtics to this team. I'm just saying, I said this a while back when Lamar Jackson exploded onto the scene and the Ravens were doing what they were doing circa 2019 in that range. Can they win when they're off schedule? Because when they're on schedule, they look unstoppable. Jackson running, passing, the defense doesn't know what's coming, and you can't really do anything about it. But when you get off schedule and you make Jackson throw, and you know that he's got to throw, it's a different animal. And that's sort of how I view the Celtics. If you're off schedule and you know that it's not just run and gun, they're feeling good, the avalanche is rolling down the hill, how comfortable are they? And I think the Knicks know the answer to that question. William's in Connecticut. Hey, William.
Hey, how's it going, guys? How are you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I just wanted to get on here and talk about the Cavs. I think we're going to meet the Cavs in the conference finals. I don't think the Knicks are going to be too much of a problem for us. I'm not going to lie. I think having both all-star players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're gonna take that next step to showing that they're elite. Honestly, I don't think that Jalen Brunson and Cat I don't know. I think the Celtics defense are too good for them right now.
Well, I'll disagree with you on taking that next step to show they're elite. Haven't they taken that step? I feel like they are elite. We know they're elite.
Comparing the Celtics to the Ravens, we've won a championship. That's right. No, yeah, I think the Celtics are okay. I'm in agreement with both the Wills. Baylor Shireman, I agree with you as well. I find him to be the X factor. I'm intrigued by his ascension. It's a Celtics world. We're going to be oozing green for the next week, I would say, before where we finally get battle tested.
Look, they did win a championship, and they won some close games on their way to that championship. I'm just saying there were circumstances throughout that run that helped the Celtics along. It takes nothing away from what they accomplished, but since that time, I don't feel like they figured it out. They still have issues. They've still had issues in those spots. Okay, Tatum and Brown are already elite. They don't need to prove to anybody that they're elite. They're elite. Cleveland would have my respect. I wouldn't fear Cleveland, but I think Donovan Mitchell, I'll say this, I trust Donovan Mitchell in a big spot in the fourth quarter more than I trust Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. So, go figure. Can Cleveland keep it close enough for them to take advantage of maybe some of the Celtics' potential missteps in a close game late? I don't know.
Nice. I did also want to agree with William, big picture, the second one to call from Connecticut. Cleveland, they're high on my radar. It's more of an on-paper thing. I like Allen and Mobley.
They got length, yeah.
Twin towers to be the length, so kind of a deterrent to how you want to play traditional basketball, in and out. So that might be a problem if they're defending the rim well. And then Harden is an X factor. He's obviously this consummate loser. He's never broken through. I hate kind of that label and stuff. I think Carmelo was incorrectly labeled that. He won as a freshman in Syracuse and then got to the NBA. So I don't like those kind of labels. I respect Harden's game. It's going to be more interesting the dynamic. Offensively, I think that they're good enough. And then defensively down low, it'll be more about that backcourt's defense with Mitchell and Harden that raises the question marks. But they are an intriguing matchup on paper, and I hope that the Pistons and Cavs go to blows the next round. I'm happy I don't have to see Cleveland or Detroit the next round.
Well, you're going to get a team that's more than capable of beating this. I don't know why you're dismissing it. I think this is fascinating.
Oh, the
Good
Knicks,
for you.
Yes.
I hate them.
Can it,
it's another success if they can cultivate this, and it might be hard in just one postseason because they are so good and they don't play a lot of close games, George, because when they do win, they can beat you handily.
Yes.
But if I can have a few instances where I feel good, confident about Tatum and Brown at the end of a game, that would be a huge success. Even if it was just a micro version of it, where a couple times I just felt good at the end of the game. At the end of the game. That's what I don't want to feel.
It's tough because I wouldn't be accepting of them blowing a 20-point lead just to get to a close game as well, too. So it kind of has to be a one of those blow for blow throughout kind of swings and stuff. We haven't really seen from the Celtics, though, to your point.
It doesn't have to be a big blown lead. Just can you feel confident in your best players when the game is tight late? I don't believe you, not you. I'm talking about the people out there. If you say, I feel good, I don't believe you. Because I just don't believe you. Tatum and Brown are great players. Great elite players. But doing it under the pressure of an end-of-game situation is different. And the Celtics overall haven't been able to consistently execute for how good they are. Jason is in Easton.
Pressure
Hey, Jason.
situation. Are you
Jason.
kidding me?
Jason.
They won an NBA championship, dude. How much pressure can you get?
Yeah, I just said they won the championship. What's your point?
Jason, you're on a delay. The phone.
Okay, am I up?
Yeah, you're good.
Keep it clean.
So we know what you think. Reiterate for the people what you just said.
Well, no, what I'm trying to say is, like,
Wow.
that just doesn't make sense because, like, clearly, like we just said, won a championship. But also, at the same time, you have the best duo in the NBA. And you know that. Am I wrong?
I mean, I'd have to go through the list, but yeah, they're up there, if not the best.
No, it's hard to say they're up there, but they're top three.
Yeah,
for anything.
For
but
sure.
At the same time, they just show their dominance. They showed how good they are together. Jalen Brown team for the fourth quarter because he didn't have to. He had 26 and 3 quarters. It doesn't matter. Like, that's how good they are. Jason Tatum, he played. He's still getting back into the groove, But even without the groove, he looks so good. He's averaging a double-double almost every game. He's getting fucking 20 points. He's getting 10 rebounds a game. It's not even close.
All right, so we know how good this team is. Okay? I know they won a championship, but guess what else they did? Last year, they blew 2 20-point leads at home in the second round against the New York Knicks. And then when both games came down to the end and it was close, they lost. And that ended their season. Okay? Those 2 losses ended their season. The 2 at home going down 0-2 to the Knicks, and the way they lost ended their season. That was after they won the championship. So don't tell me all is forgotten and all is well because they won that title. They still have this issue. This is the NBA. Okay? These things happen where you can have, the NBA is really the only sport where you can have playoff series where there is absolutely no chance one team beats another. Every other sport in the first round, I'm talking about in the first round. Hockey, you could have a big upset. Obviously in football, baseball, it doesn't mean anything. Basketball, there's no chance the Sixers without Embiid are going to beat this Celtics. They're just not. We've seen it a million times. It rarely happens. Last year, they had an absolutely embarrassing first 2 games against the Knicks. That was after they won the championship. So you can't sit here and just tell me they won the championship. And I give them full credit for winning, but guys were unhealthy. They were able to ride that avalanche momentum that they can build to the title. And they did come up big in some games. Jaylen Brown in the finals. Kristaps Porzingis in the finals. Specifically Brown. Brown against Indiana. Drew Holiday against Indiana with the steal. But those were, that was a sweep. You've got to be able to be more consistent before I buy in. I watch the games. For crying out loud, I'll tweet out in those moments. Here we go, down the stretch, tie game, 3 minutes to go. The Celtics seemingly always lose. Not all the time, but more often than not, with how good they are, they lose. I don't understand why I can't. 617-779-0985. Great win today. We got to go to break. We're going to get our headlines. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Fair Tire Studio. This
Drive a
is
strong finger all up and go.
This is home of the 18-time world champion Boston Celtics. WBZ-FM and HD Boston 98.5. The Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Well, the Celtics opened up the 2026 playoffs on a schedule that they demanded, that they planned to keep, and they did. And they did it in dominant fashion. Boston dismissing Philadelphia by the count of 123-91. Jason Tatum went for 25, 11, and 7. Jaylen Brown scored 16 points in the third quarter and finished with 26. Sam Hauser, 4 of 6 from 3 for 12 points. Game 2, Tuesday, back at the Garden. The Bruins are going to begin their playoff series with the Sabres in Buffalo tonight, 7:30. Puck drop pregame set for 7 p.m. You hear it right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Ryan Johnson, Bob Beers on the call. Red Sox trying to bounce back from their loss Saturday against the Tigers. Currently tied at 1 with Detroit. Garrett Crochet did give up a first-inning run, but looks like he settled down a little bit. They're tied at 1 in the second inning. We'll keep you updated. And finally, defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, who was traded from the Giants to the Bengals for a first-round pick, passed his physical and signed a 1-year, $28 million extension with Cincinnati. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by DN Van Lines. Take the chance out of your move and make the sure bet with DN Van Lines, an approved mover of the Department of Defense. DNVanlines.com. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports 98.5. The Sports Hub. Next update, 30 minutes. Check that 1 hour.
Diving effort. He's got a breakaway. Goes to the backhand. Throws it in front. Coming to the spot. The Sports Hub. No matter what team, no matter what player, no matter what coach, no matter what game, it all happens here. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
And the rebound pulled down by Jaylen Brown. Philly's just 2 of 14 from 3. Tatum, pull up on Bona. 3, got it. Oh, my goodness, is this not the Eastern Conference's worst nightmare?
All right. See right there what Grandy just... I couldn't disagree more with what Grandy just said. This is not the Eastern Conference's worst nightmare. I think the Knicks think you're frauds. I think the Knicks, they don't feel a thing after what happened today.
Just
they
because
don't
they don't
care.
fear us doesn't mean they aren't going to get that belt to backside.
They could. They could.
The Celtics are a front-running team, and that's how they won a couple years ago, so it's tough. It's tough to say that they couldn't do it against
I don't like front-running team, okay, because that makes it sound like they're not mentally tough or they don't have any grit to try to... If they get down, they lose. I don't think that's the case. I just think that the teams around the East have seen this from the Celtics forever. They know they're capable of this. They also know if they can get them and wrestle them into a dogfight, they're not going to be as productive late in games when they have to play a different style of basketball. So this is what the worst nightmare. I just think that the East thinks, oh, this is the Celtics. So, yeah, maybe you thought Tatum wasn't going to be quite as good because of the Achilles. I don't know why you would assume that. He was back. He's a great player. He's going to figure it out. I don't think this affects the East at all. I think the East knows what the Celtics are. This is what they are. Okay?
It is an attractive way to play, though.
It's an attractive way. It looks great. It looks great.
Running on all cylinders,
It looks great when it is working. I'm saying, though, when it doesn't work and they have to find another way, if they found a way, George, against a good team, if they, against the Knicks, go down to the wire in the first 3 games and go up 3-0, that's the NBA's worst nightmare.
You know what's tough, though, is, we're clamoring for this close game just to be able to see it, though. I wouldn't even be satisfied if they got into a close game in a rock fight with Philly because it's Maxey or bust. And he's the worst player than Giannis, to be sure. So you can give Maxey 50 points. Where's Philly getting the other 60? And divvy it up. I'll give you the players. Let's do it. Because I don't want to say put them in a close game to put them in a close game for the sake of it. And this isn't going to be the round to do it. But Oubre, Paul George, VJ Edgecombe, Andre Drummond, Quentin Grimes. I mean, you can give them a dozen each, and it's still like, they're not getting over the hump here. So the Celtics, in order for them to validate the close game, and I just don't think we're going to see it in the immediate future. If not, it's going to be a disappointment.
It's just hard, George, because half the league is tanking, okay? Then the other part of it is you're not going to play a close game every time you play a good team. Sometimes you're not going to have it. You're going to get smoked. Sometimes you're going to crush them. Sometimes it'll be semi-close, but then early in the fourth, you'll pull away and massage a 9-point lead.
I would want to ream them for being in a close game to begin with, though, against Philly, though, is my point.
Yes.
It would be more of an indictment that we are shooting bricks, we're off, we're turning the ball over. It would be just a us eating us kind of a thing, looking in the mirror and self-defeat.
The problem is for the Celtics, in the playoffs, you're going to be in that situation more frequently. You're playing better teams. Teams are playing harder overall. It's just you're going to find yourself in closer games. So that's why them doing this and Tatum hitting a 3 and us saying, wow, this is their worst nightmare. I just think they think this is what the Celtics are.
Now, just a quick question, though. Do you feel like they've learned anything from last year?
Learned anything?
Coming off that second round loss.
I mean,
their play style, Mazzulla, the way he's coached with
We'll
Brown.
find out. I haven't got enough proof right at this moment to say they've learned anything or that they're different.
It's
not now.
We're just waiting for next week.
Yet.
We're waiting for next week.
Well, unfortunately, that's the way it has to be. Tom is in Quincy. Hey, Tom.
Hey, what's up, guys? Listen, Mark, I agree with your overall sentiment. Like, if you look at the way the Celtics lost to the Knicks, it had a lot of similarities to the way they lost to the Heat the year before they won the championship, right? They lost game 1 and 2 where they both had 10-point leads in both of those games. And, frankly, it comes down to style of play. And this might be a ridiculous take, but I think the Celtics kind of have misappropriated the roles of both JT and JB for the last, 8 years. I mean, honestly, looking at this past year, the ball flows just a little quicker through Jalen. Like, is JT more of the Pippen and Jalen more of the Jordan? Not saying that Jalen's Jordan and Michael Jordan, but, it just seems they're a better team when he is more of the focal point and Tatum's, the offset, the player B. Because we've seen it time and time again where the team – when it comes down to it, when the Knicks are playing us gritty, Tatum slows it down, and then if he doesn't have it going, it's a disaster. I mean, that whole series last year was like, move the ball, and he wouldn't move the ball, and we all know what happened. But I just think that Celtics have finally, hopefully, matured to a point where Joe Mazzulla knows he needs to make adjustments, but he's been a little ignorant of making adjustments in the past. In that Heat series the year before they won the championship, where they went down 0-3, they should have won 2 of those games, 1 and 2, where they're up 20 points in both of those. And again, it came down to Tatum slowing the ball down and just chalking up a shot, and the leads would blow away. I think we're in a better point, but.
All right, thanks for the call, Tom. I'm going to let you go. My question. And I've never had access to Joe Mazzulla, so I can't ask the question, would be, have you worked on this? What have you done to work on end-of-game situations for Jason Tatum? Jason Tatum's a great player. He's capable of a triple-double every night. He is an elite offensive talent. I just happen to think in a close game, when it's tight, he gets a little tight, and as a result, it's hard to shoot and execute offensively when you're a little tight. Okay? And too often, he looks out of sorts, out of whack, out of place, and it just is clunky to the level it shouldn't be when you're as good as Jason Tatum. That's my point. And when you're the best player, you create the culture of the team. Okay? Now, it's hard to, that's a tough question to answer, the one that Tom brought up, because Tatum is the better talent. He's the first-team All-NBA player. But is Jaylen Brown better in those spots? And if that's a possibility, what, again, has Joe Mazzulla done to change the energy, to shift the energy so they're more productive in those spots? Or did they just say, well, we'll just try to avoid those spots because it worked in 2024 and we're so good we can create the avalanche that blows teams away? I don't know. Okay?
It's tough to comment on things that we're clamoring for and really haven't seen on a consistent basis.
George, listen to this. Look at the great Warriors teams, okay? They had a little Celtics in them when they won in 2015 because they got to the finals, and who got hurt in that series? Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving both went down. That was just like what the Celtics dealt with. And they were able to avalanche their way to the title. Then they bring in Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant needs to be the guy that closes out the games, not Steph Curry. Steph Curry didn't win Finals MVP in either of those matchups. It wasn't until 2022 when Curry figured it out at age 30, whatever he was, and he finally hit some of those shots and won
at our expense,
Finals MVP. At our expense.
God
but he finally did it.
Reminding me of 22.
And they're one of the greatest teams ever. Okay, so you can be great, and maybe I didn't watch every Warriors game like I do Celtics basketball. I'm just saying it's a thing, okay? It's a thing, and they're going to get tested. If you bet your ass in the West, they will not be able to avalanche their way to a championship. Can they win the games close?
And I'm a little bit more trusting of Joe Mazzulla now after this year and his performance than you.
Unless you want to just say, I like Joe Mazzulla. I do think there are issues. Unless you want to just say, hey, they can have this avalanche performance anytime, and it's really fun, and when it does work, it's really good. So we'll put aside any time that they fumble a game away because it's close. I'm not going to consider that, and I'll just think about the avalanches.
No, it is interesting.
That's
dynamic.
okay. They're really good.
The end of the game situation. And how do we trust the offense to be run through Brown or through Tatum? Those are going to be interesting dynamics when the games do come to be crunched.
Unless if you don't want to win the championship, fine. Then you can be happy when they do this and have games like this.
You're certainly right, though, because they're not going to win the way that they did.
No, they're not. They're not going to be able to avalanche their way past Oklahoma City.
And the injuries aren't going to happen the way that they did with Halliburton and Mitchell and on the road to
Dan is in Rhode Island. Hey, Dan.
What's up, brother? How you doing? Turned out to be a good sports day for any sports fan with the weather.
Still going?
Yep. Yeah. Although I could tell you, you could offer a helicopter ride from my roof to Fenway with a suite and everything Compton, I still wouldn't go.
Okay.
Not in this. Yeah. No chance.
Well,
not for that crap.
Yep.
That's another subject. Listen, I can't add too much more to what you already have, but my point is like you hear people talk about the Celtics. I mean, Tatum and Brown now have been around, 7 and 8 years or 8 and 9 years?
Yes.
Oh, going close to a decade. And they're talked about like they're an unknown commodity to some extent. I mean, of course it's a thing. It's a track record. And the one time they did go to win it all was kind of like I don't want to say it's an anomaly, but there's been more disappointment to what you guys are saying than there's been to them winning. And I think that there's something to it. If, every series is a game into itself. It is more about talent. It's more about coaching. It's about matchups. I'm not even a basketball guy, Hardo, and I know that. So You're right. These games tend to be tight. And over the course of time, chances are that you are exactly right about Tatum. He gets a little bit like Tuukka Rask. He gets the poopy pants when he gets tight. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean he's not a great player.
Correct.
But the greatest players produce when they need to be the best. So I don't know. I mean, I just think that people get too cocky about it. And we get the best tandem in the end. Yeah, I get that. But that doesn't mean you're going to win. So that's it.
All right, thanks, Danny. Good to hear from you. And the other thing I would just add to what Dan said, George, we're going to take a quick break. I'll start off the next segment with that because there's something I need to add that's very important that relates to all this and everything we've seen here in Boston. Very important. That's next. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 Us. sports, yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
5 seconds frozen on the clock. The Patriots with a 13-3 lead over the Rams. Tom Brady, about to be a 6-time champion, takes the snap, drops to the knee. And the Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title. In the early 2000s, they won 3 of 4. Now they have won 3 of the last 5. Yes, it's still a dynasty.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub, 617-779-0985. Just to piggyback off of the call we had with Danny, here's the other thing. As an educated fan of championship-level teams, as a lot of us in this region are, many of us are, especially if you're over a certain age.
We are spoiled.
We're spoiled. I'm just saying, having been around and analyzing and watching these other teams that have won championships, all 12 or 13, whatever it is, I don't ever remember feeling this way about any of those other teams. The trepidation I feel about this Celtics team in a close, tightly contested game. Now, I understand David Ortiz, Tom Brady, the Bruins in 2011. I just never felt a team that was capable or went on to win the championship. I never felt the way I do about this Celtics team, where I have the trepidation for the best player and for the overall outcome in a close game late. I have felt that for years with this team. I never felt that for a Red Sox team. I never felt that for a Patriots team that won a championship, especially a proven championship team, a team that did it, like the Celtics have, like these Celtics have. I never, ever felt that way about any of the other championship teams, and that includes the 2008 Celtics. That's different.
That was a juggernaut, too.
That's different, and maybe beautiful. Shame on me. And it wasn't always Paul Pierce. It just felt like in those moments, they found ways to win P.J. Brown hitting the shot.
And to be fair, Pierce was a closer, though.
He was a closer.
He was.
Again, do I have the stats in front of me? I don't have the stat. But just watching the games, I never remember, and Jason Tatum is a better overall player than Paul Pierce. But I just don't think about or don't recall feeling like Paul Pierce at the end of a game
wasn't going to deliver.
Or was the 4th best player on the floor, George. Or was completely lost. Or wasn't looking like himself. Now, I remember in the 2010 finals wondering where they're going to get scoring from down the stretch of the Game 7 against the Lakers. But I don't remember him completely morphing into a shell of himself.
Right, a puddle.
Time and time again down the stretch of a close game.
Are you just tainted by not seeing this in nearly a decade's time of Brown and Tatum and close games and just the unsurety? Or do you think that they're incapable of
No, I don't. I just told you what Steph Curry did. I used to feel similarly on Steph Curry. Because I always rooted for him over LeBron. I would watch I always wanted him to hit that shot.
And he's an all-timer.
Do you remember the block LeBron had, that chase down block, that one? The reason that happened and the reason that helped them win was because Curry kept missing the dagger 3. He kept trying to end it. He couldn't. And then that is what helped. Then you have to rely on Andre Iguodala because Curry can't do it. And what does Iguodala do? He gets blocked because LeBron was a better player.
He had one Finals MVP. That's right. Iguodala.
And he had already won a Finals. I'm just saying, I don't remember ever feeling this way against other teams that have won championships. The Celtics, for years, have had this problem. They've had it since they won the championship. And what's fascinating is because they are so good, but in the moments where they have to get it done when it's tight and close, they come way down. That's what's fascinating. Bernie's on the Cape. Hey, Bernie.
Hey, guys. Great show. Great game. But you keep saying that Missoula hasn't learned anything. I found they had a lot more two-point shots and layups than they usually do. They weren't hucking the 3 all day long.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
So
good call, Bernie.
I don't know if I said Missoula hasn't learned anything. I said they haven't proven to me that they've changed enough where I'm going to now have confidence in them in those situations. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that will help.
Yeah, Missoula.
That could help.
I would say so, especially out of timeouts. I mean, last year you remember when they did the same play back to back.
Game 2, May 7th, correct?
Right,
Yeah.
So has he learned from that? I would say yes. I think he's had his heels more to the ground this season, especially because he's had to move the domino pieces with Tatum being out of the lineup for so long. I have gained confidence in Missoula. I'm going to trust him to call the timely timeout, and then not only do that, but have the plays in mind down the stretch for them to go ahead and at least be confident in what they're doing. Because to your point, the not knowing and the unsurety of it is completely a 180 from where we were growing up accustomed to Paul Pierce. Even in the days before KG and Allen got to make us into the Big Three, Pierce had moment upon moment down the stretch. That Al Harrington is a big one, but even with him and Walker, you knew down the stretch that we weren't unsure of these situations, or we had confidence that we were going to go ahead, and even if it was isolation, that they were going to go ahead and make those shots. And it's completely the opposite. So to your point, I mean, this decade with Brown and Tatum, whenever these close games have come up for whatever reason, I think that it is kind of a matchup-based thing. I don't want to excuse these things away, but a lot of the times, instead of it being this blow-for-blow thing and a plus-minus within 5-7 points, we'll call it, it's been mostly them losing the grip after having double-digit lead and then watching that slowly slip away, and then it snowballs. They just don't know how to get out of it. They continue to chuck up the shots that are not falling instead of going to the basket, forcing a foul, seeing it go in, and that's how you change that trend. I am more confident that they have learned those lessons. They've been through the growing pains, and I'm confident. And I just feel like matchup-based, though, relatively speaking, I don't like any other team, or at least on paper, other than Cleveland, I would say, that they match up on paper for us to be worried about like these end-of-the-game situations, because I would just go to the other side. Now, to your point, though, too, on the Knicks, Brunson is a closer.
Yeah. The Knicks laugh at you. I don't think the Knicks respect you at all.
Oh, I laugh at the Knicks, but they've had the last laugh, so I mean,
I shouldn't say. I take that back. I think the Knicks do respect you, but I also think they think that you're a fraud. I think that's what I think the Knicks think. Think they think
that
if they can keep it, that's correct. If they get it close, you will find a way to screw it up. I think they believe in Brunson too.
I
think
the
Knicks
of a team though for me to I mean, they're just a ballerina, and I don't like that kind of foul baiting kind of style. And Brunson and the Knicks kind of when you have a floppy player like that, the team kind of embodies that style. So we'll see Towns and Hart.
You're telling me if the game's close, you have more confidence in Jason Tatum than Jalen Brunson?
That is a great point right there, to put my feet to the fire right there. You have to be right. I will acquiesce to you there. I would have more confidence in the Knicks.
Brunson's
I hate
hit
saying
that
that.
shot. Yes.
Brunson, I would have more confidence in floppy Jalen Brunson down the stretch.
Everything. Look, when that series happens in 2 weeks, they are going to get their feet will be put to the fire. The Celtics.
And they're going to have to figure it out.
They're going to have to. There's not going to be a way around the Knicks. Okay, you're going to have to either beat them definitively and make a statement, or you're going to have to find a way to win those close games, because the Knicks are not going to just lie down and get swept in 3 blowouts out of 4 wins. That's not going to happen.
Tough, because it was
not going to happen.
It was trending that way last year.
It didn't happen.
I could see the Celtics stealing the will out of these teams, so it's tough. We'll be front running, right, in that case.
John's in Pelham, New Hampshire. Hey, John.
Hey, guys. Oh, wow. You're spot on. We're talking about fearing the Knicks, and I totally agree. But the other thing I'm thinking about is, okay, guys, okay, Mr. Missoula, you guys are going to really have to step it up in the first 2 games, because fortunately we have home court advantage, and hopefully a repeat of last year. And you're spot on. The other thing is that people don't seem to be talking very much about the defending champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And, the Celtics, I think that this playoff season is a very, very tight season in the respect that most of the time in the past, especially for the Celtics, they normally would get by the first 1 or 2 rounds. And then they get to the conference finals and, hopefully they get to the finals. But the Knicks are going to be tough. They already probably, like you say, and I agree with you, that they think that the Celtics are frauds. They're not afraid of the Celtics. They know that they beat them last year, and to my knowledge, their roster is pretty much the same.
Yeah, and they were built to beat the Celtics. They probably respect them. They know Tatum and Brown are a very dangerous combination. I just think they know if it gets close late, they have a team, and they believe they have a team that can topple them. It's as simple as that. 617-779-0985. We're going to go to break. We'll be back. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. In this town, sports happens 24/7. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sometimes you got to ask the tough question. Yeah. Not in New England, where they ask no questions. And I don't care what anybody says, whether he knew weeks ago that he was not going to attend this press conference or not. He had a responsibility to Patriot fans and the Patriot organization to try to put this to bed. Unless it can't be put to bed because she's in his bed. You are a coward, sir, because when things like this happen, and you run away and hide, and you try to avoid the media, and you cross your fingers, it'll just go away. I think you've learned a valuable lesson. It ain't just going to go away. Everybody's waiting, kind of like Groundhog's Day. When will Mike Vrabel come out of his hole, and will he see his shadow and disappear until training camp, or will he actually come out like a man and address the situation that needs to be addressed?
That was Craig Carton in New York. Obviously talking about the Mike Vrabel situation. Mike Reese today on his Sunday notes also making mention about how he believes, and I want to make sure he's quoted correctly here. Mike Reese talking about whether or not Mike Vrabel will address this with the Patriots, his team. Obviously a question that more than one person is asking. And obviously a question that I think is relevant based on what we know about Mike Vrabel and what we heard from Mike Vrabel this past season. Mike Reese today from his notes, given the final point and how much it was stressed over the course of 2025. And what he's talking about are the 4 points of team identity that Mike Vrabel identified before the season: effort and finish, ball security and ball disruption, details, technique, and fundamentals. And then this one, making great decisions. Mike Reese, again, given the final point and how much he stressed that over the course of 2025, my view is that Vrabel will likely address the situation with players. Otherwise, the identity risks losing its meaning. I could not agree more. I think it will happen. Do I expect him to go into, detail during a press conference? I don't think so, but he has been pretty transparent. And I do think it's something that needs to be addressed. I don't think you need to go beyond that. I just think you address it. You could say you made a bad decision, made a mistake, however you want to categorize it. But I do think the team needs to hear you speak on this topic.
And I would say ahead of the draft would probably be ideal. I think it's a private situation. I've been kind of avoiding this, to put it kind of on air. Of course, when you're substitute teacher and producing, I get talent, and you guys get your first dibs kind of at it, and we'll get Andrew Callahan with you tomorrow. We'll be in for Zolak and Bertrand. You guys will be at the Cask and Flagon.
Cask and Flagon.
I'm sure, good plug there. I'm sure you guys will get into some more of this and the latest on the reporting. But I think it's a tender situation. I stand with Zoe. I kind of want to leave it kind of off limits. I hate these kind of allegations and those kind of things. I mean, we can interpret with the pictures and kind of go from there. But I think that the only people in his inner circle are owed anything. And publicly, I would say the players are owed kind of that explanation. But then to us, I mean, this is, I'm not that big of a media guy, this egomaniac that, so to me, and then I don't want to come off as defending any of these actions at all because I don't. So I don't condone any of this kind of behavior, but I do think it is a private matter. I do think, though, putting a statement out ahead of the draft and then kind of referring to it is the play. I would prefer him to be defined on this, but, this all remains to be seen, and it is going to be an interesting week because at some point we will expect to hear from the head man.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to be as honest as you can, and you need to own it as best you can.
Probably.
I mean,
this
is
backtrack from the initial statement, but I do like the defiance end of it because it's this isn't your place to. It's personal, So it's
correct, and
it's tender.
I've said, and I remain in this camp. I am not interested in what any of these people do in their personal lives. Would I like for them all to be great men? great human beings and upstanding citizens? Of course I would.
Right.
Obviously, if you do something off the rails against the law, I'll have a stronger opinion. But I don't know what goes on in people's marriages.
It's tough.
I don't know what he might have been. I don't know.
Well, it's like what we all want is like if this is more than what leads the eye and stuff like that, or what it appears to be, we want him to kind of come and be at the mercy of everybody and confess his sins there. It's just a tough situation. I don't think that it's the place to do it in front of the microphone, and I'd prefer the statement and then bury it, and then that'll be that. I hope it does go away, but I think it gets worse as it kind of lingers on, especially as we get towards the draft. If we don't get any, and we just get him just
it needs to be addressed with the team. It needs to be addressed with you're a public figure. You made a decision. It has become a story. Granted, it's not during the football season, but it has become a story. You're asking people to make why are you asking people to make good decisions or great decisions? Why? Why are you asking that? Why is that part of the identity of the Patriots?
It comes across as hypocritical, I understand.
Well, I'm just saying you do that so there aren't any distractions. So you don't have to deal with other BS outside of football, off the field.
Right. And there's a way to flip that, I would say, too, in the statement is kind of look at this as kind of a distraction, move behind it, and it's a personal matter. You're dealing with it internally. You've addressed the players, and that's it. Now, that's not going to be good enough for us in the media and as fans, the vagueness of it, but we're after blood here, and it's just like I just think it's inappropriate. We shouldn't be investigating or prying into this. So I can look the other way. It's tough because in saying these things, you come across as kind of defending, the transgressions. I don't want to do that.
No, I have no respect for behavior like that. I'm just saying, George, we don't know what goes on in other people's marriages, and I'm not. If it were people that I knew, even then. You don't know what goes on in people's homes.
Right.
Okay? And
I hate this whole TMZ stuff that we're charading around the past
within the
couple
dynamic of their relationship. I don't know what happens.
Right.
So I am not
in either marriage.
Correct. Going to ferociously throw stones at somebody, especially somebody I don't know personally and I don't know anything about them or their situation.
I mean, it's already tough for the women in these kind of fields as well, to be able to make it. And I think in the inverse side, to placate things, but I heard a little bit on the afternoon show on Felger Maz. They were kind of comparing the male side of things. I think males they're complicit in kind of the things that they do. Now it's slanted, and it's all we're being analogous here. It obviously it's a little different with the opposite sex, and we're talking about crossing the line, in that regard. But I think that there's people that are compromised in this sport, in this field, all over the place. I would say that.
I mean, look, if you're in love, go for it. I'm not going to stand in the way of love, true love. But I just think from a football perspective, and that's what I'm here to discuss. Right. And I'll discuss whatever people want to discuss.
It's become a distraction.
From a football perspective, I think you veered away from making a great decision. And now a decision you made has created a story that is not going to help the football operation. I think based on that, when it's evaluated in that way, you owe it to the football team and the players to address it. That's all.
Now, I agree with that wholeheartedly. The question is what publicly gets divulged.
Fine. That's not as important to me.
Right.
I do think it would be better. The more honest he could be, the better it would be. I think he should say what happens with the team. I don't think he needs to go into detail, but you could say, I've addressed it with the team.
Right.
Maybe give us, by us, I mean the fans and media, a little something about what he said.
Right.
To kind of give us an indication of what the message was.
Sadly, I think we're in the minority mark on that because I think that we're going to be after blood, and whatever he does is just not going to be enough.
Well, I don't think we should. After blood, what do you mean?
Well, I just think that not addressing it in a way that is generic, and to me, it's just that's trying to bury it and not address it at all.
I don't think Mike Vrabel owes me anything.
Correct.
Like he doesn't.
Me and you are on
an
that
explanation.
Wavelength, right?
It doesn't matter.
Sadly, though, I think that we are in the minority on that. That's my opinion on it.
He needs to. I would think, based on what we heard from him all year, again, football talk.
Right.
He should address the distraction he created. I think he should do that with the team.
It's gotten to that point.
Now, if he wants to do it with the media too, I wouldn't think that'd be a bad idea. Just to kind of make sure that he, people know that he addressed it. There's a lot of, I've talked to a lot of people personally who really liked Mike Vrabel. A lot of them women who now don't like or are a little bit disappointed.
I can empathize with that too. I'm such a Mr. Nice guy and stuff too. It's just it's a bad look.
It is. But again, I don't know what goes on in people's marriages.
Right, and I'm able to separate that from the football side. I just think that we are in the minority on that. There's going to be prying eyes that want more and more and continue to interject themselves, and hopefully that just doesn't make it more of a distraction than it already is. And I just want it to be buried and gone away and over with. And we're a week away from the draft.
And the draft is vitally important. I'm actually a closet draft junkie. I love the NFL draft. I always have. I'm not nearly to the level of Alex Barth or that elite when it comes to discussing prospects.
When they're doing the Peterson School, throwing out the dartboards, his retention is incredible.
Oh, he knows everything, and I just enjoy the draft. I enjoy, and the other thing is, I have so much respect for the draft, and I love what the draft can cultivate for a football team, any sport, but especially football. I'm fascinated by how teams are built via the draft, and I love the NFL draft and what possibilities exist. This Patriots team, we saw what an effective draft class can do. Now they need another one. And they're going to need not just guys that can be on the field and make the roster. They're going to need a draft class that features a star or two. That's what they're going to need. Matt is in Norwood. Hey, Matt.
Hey, guys. Just curious. Do you think this is better or less worse than the Bridget Moynihan-Brady incident? And do you remember how Brady handled this?
That's a good question. I mean, I have no recollection of how Tom Brady handled this.
Right. I do remember it was just a story in the sense that, he's leaving her. I think she might have still been pregnant at that time, too. So
I do think it's worse because it's the head coach who has rules, and one of his principles is make great decisions. Tom Brady,
still young.
He was a young guy, and whatever. Listen, again, I'm not here to have a conversation about having a child out of wedlock. I'm just saying.
Who knows what was going on there, too?
Look, he was a young quarterback, okay? I think the way that he led back then, having a child out of wedlock, other than the fact that maybe you were going to divert more, you had to be a dad, I don't think that affected anybody in the locker room whatsoever, that Tom Brady did that. I do think there is, depending on who's in that locker room, you could have somebody that might say, you're a hypocrite. I mean, did the Mighty Ducks get mad when Gordon Bombay went and had ice cream with the Iceland trainer? If you have players like that, I'm not. That's a stupid example. I'm just saying, if you've been preaching that all the time, good decisions, make great decisions, and then you get exposed via a questionable decision, by somebody that might not be as measured in their line of thinking, that could affect the team. I don't think what Tom Brady did affected the team at all back then. I just think it was something that he had to deal with in his own personal life. I don't think it affected the way he led. I don't think it affected the way people viewed him, teammates viewed him, none of the above. So, what's worse, I don't love that terminology in this example, but I would say the Vrabel thing is more impactful because he's the head coach. He's legitimate, literally the adult in the room. I know they're all adults, but literally he's supposed to be the quote-unquote adult in the room. He's the head coach, the leader, whose principle states make great decisions. You didn't make one there, and now there's a bleep storm. So, I think that was probably a little bit more disappointing than what Tom Brady did, from a on-field football perspective.
You think it'll be a free agent deterrent, and do you still want A.J. Brown?
I do not think it'll be a free agent deterrent, and I do still want A.J. Brown.
Love it.
And I'll tell you why when we get back. Because this is an interesting question. What is the Patriots' biggest need? Really, what is it? I know people will have all different kinds of answers, but I think the actual answer is very interesting and not necessarily something I hear talked about enough. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. We'll get into that. Mark Dondero, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5. to the backhand and score. Two-hand slam. Boston's home for sports. WBC FM and HD Boston. 98.5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Well, the Celtics opened up their 2026 playoff run on schedule and in dominant fashion as Boston dismissed the Sixers by the count of 123-91. Jason Tatum went 4, 25, 11, and 7. Jaylen Brown scored 16 points in the third quarter, finished with 26. Sam Hauser, 4 of 6 from 3 for 12 points in this one. Game 2 will be Tuesday night back at TD Garden. Celtics will look to take the commanding 2-0 series lead. The Bruins will begin their playoff series with the Sabres tonight in Buffalo. 7:30 puck drop, pregame set for 7. You'll hear it right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Ryan Johnson, Bob Beers on the call. Red Sox trying to avenge that loss yesterday at Fenway to the Tigers. Not looking good to this point. They're down 5-1 in the bottom of the 5th inning with 2 outs and nobody on. Garrett Crochet, once again, less than stellar on the mound. And in football, NFL news, defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, who was traded from the Giants to the Bengals for a first-round pick, passed his physical and has signed a 1-year, $28 million extension with Cincinnati. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Prolotherapy. Don't let joint pain keep you off the course or trail. Eliminate that pain with Dr. Franke of Boston Prolotherapy. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston Home for Sports. 98.5, The Sports Hub. Next update, Bruins pregame.
This is what happens when analysts take over the game, take over the sport.
This is where you talk sports.
It happens all the time.
The Sports Hub. When it comes to Boston sports, we're fans just like you. 98.5, The Sports Hub.
All right, back here, 98.5, The Sports Hub. Mark Dondero, George holding it down. I think this is actually an easier question than people might want to admit, or maybe they disagree with me and that's okay. What is the Patriots' biggest need? Honestly, I think it's a weapon for Drake May. I think that's their biggest need. When I think of last season, how is there another answer? Yes, they could always use more offensive line depth, and they're going to have to address that. And by the way, just because I think that their biggest need is an offensive weapon, that just, I want to be clear about this, doesn't mean I think they should take a weapon at 31 overall. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think that's their biggest need. You got to be strategic in how you go about trying to acquire one. I just feel like the way the season ended, think about it. What was the biggest thing missing? It felt like the offensive weapon and the guy that Drake May could rely on in the biggest games. I understand in the playoffs, weather was a factor and elements in Denver and the rain in January at Gillette. I just feel like during the regular season, what were their biggest wins? Off the top of your head, what were a few of the Patriots' biggest wins? At Buffalo week, 5? Late in the season, at Baltimore on Sunday Night Football was a big win. I mean, those were big wins. Who was the star of those games? Outside of Drake May.
Right, I was just about to go with the quarterback, the MVP candidate. But
obviously, he was right. Who was the other star of those two games, though?
It's tough. I would say, and not picking on those two wins specifically, but I liked Ramondre Stevenson's second half. But I think you're alluding to Stephon Diggs.
That's exactly who I'm alluding to. It just felt like in both those games the Patriots could have lost, but Diggs played in those games at Buffalo, at Baltimore, like a number one option. Got the Patriots over the hump. They won those two games on the road, at night, prime time, big matchups against good quarterbacks. Now, I know Lamar Jackson got hurt in that game, but Josh Allen was playing. They won those games in large part because of what they had from Stephon Diggs, what they got from Stephon Diggs in those games. Fast forward to the playoffs. Now, the defense, I thought, played great, and that includes the Super Bowl. But what were they missing? Yes, protection was a problem. Go watch the film of the Super Bowl again, though. That was not the biggest problem in that game. They could not get anything going. Drake May was the biggest problem in that game. And I just feel like if he had a weapon to lean on, a binky, a playmaker, a guy you could just throw it up to, a guy that the defensive coordinator on the other side feared every time the Patriots rolled up on the bus, it would make a difference. And I think when Stephon Diggs in the playoffs was unable to perform to the level, or at least close to the level he performed to against Buffalo in Buffalo, against Baltimore in Baltimore, I think you missed something. And I think it really affected the Patriots, on top of obviously the hits that he took and the protection. And was Will Campbell still injured? I think he was. With all that being said, that's why I believe their biggest need is a weapon. I think they're going to be okay along the offensive line. And again, I don't think that was the biggest problem in the Super Bowl. I loved how they played defense. Their defensive backfield is filled with depth and talent. Their line, Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, I can go into business with them. Yes, they lost Kayvon Chason, but was he irreplaceable? No. Could you use an edge rusher? Of course. That's a need. I just don't think it's their biggest need. Now you could lean on A.J. Brown. They're going to get A.J. Brown. Hopefully they do. I don't know. Can he play to the level of a number one? Can he do what Stephon Diggs, an A.J. Brown version of what Stephon Diggs did for the Patriots last year? I hope so. But when I look at how the season ended, especially the Super Bowl, their biggest need isn't on defense. Their biggest need isn't even along the offensive line. Yes, they still need depth there. They need an infusion of more talent. I still think getting that number one guy, that alpha weapon, is the biggest need, because I think that's what got them over the hump for their biggest wins last year. They had a guy that was playing like a number one weapon needs to play in Stephon Diggs at Buffalo, at Baltimore, and they did not have that in the playoffs. And as a result, that's why all those wins were clunk fests. Or you needed to do what you did to C.J. Stroud in order to beat the Texans.
Right. The defense,
eliminate their offense completely, which is asking a lot.
I love that in the playoffs we kind of flipped the script and started winning games on defense. But to your point, I'll go and pose it to you. I mean, why did the kind of drop off, and why weren't there separation at the wide receiver position, and why wasn't there that aid there in the playoffs in all four of the games to be sure, compared to the regular season? I would just ask why, and
why they looked the way they looked in the playoffs.
Why did they lack production in the skill position in the playoffs? And then I would allude to, do you think that they were fool's gold?
I do not think they were fool's gold. I do not. I think they were the team. Were they an elite team? No.
Yeah, I think we
knew that.
They had the benefit of the schedule and playing who they were in front of them. I think the defense kind of took advantage of things,
yes.
But offensively they did lack.
I did not think they were fool's gold. I thought they were what we thought they were.
Yeah, it's tough. I kind of lean more towards that angrily and reluctantly. I'll admit that. I wasn't a believer on the Patriots. I was happy to go along for the ride. It's crazy because to go back to like the 0-1 days, I killed my boy for saying, the Rams are going to beat the Patriots. The Patriots have no chance. And I'm just like, you are not a fan. You're not a fan of the team. And here I am just like even keeled. And I'm just like, the Patriots, they're going to lose at some point.
Drake May finished second in the MVP. Wasn't it second in the MVP voting? Okay.
It was.
So the only that would be telling me that he was fool's gold. He was a fraud. And I don't believe that. I think Drake May is the real deal. Now, do I think Drake May got in his own head a little bit? I do. Do I think the protection played a part in that? I do. Do I think the teams and specifically the defenses they played a part in that? Absolutely. It was a perfect storm. He needed to handle it better. He didn't. I think coaching let them down. I still think the Super Bowl was inexcusable. I never, even since then,
that interception
can't believe. I can't believe. Forget about the interception. I just can't believe they looked the way they looked. I can't believe.
Looked like they didn't belong on the same
That's
field.
right. The look in their eyes. Drake May, the way that he played, the way that he carried himself all throughout the game, I thought was inexcusable. Doesn't mean I'm out on Drake May. I still really like Drake May. I was just disappointed for that one performance.
Right. I think he was more of an MVP candidate because he did elevate the teammates around him. I think that...
And he looked the part, too, all year.
I would say, though, that people did look at the skill position and knew that we were kind of lacking there, and that kind of Diggs was kind of like this outlier, and he was playing for stuff coming out of the ACL.
Maybe it was a slump for May. Maybe he just got in a bad way or a bad stretch, and I'm sure the lack of protection got
the most football he's
jittery.
played to as well. I think it kind of worn on him. I don't know the extent of the shoulder injury that happened in the Denver game. He got folded up. So it's all those circumstances, I think, just kind of got to be overwhelming. I hate to use this, right, because you got the week off, you get to go to the Super Bowl, you want the team to be prepared. It didn't look like they belonged in the same field, even though it was a game and competitive in arm's reach, though, till the tail end of the game.
Chuck is in Millis Candlepin Bowling. Hey, Chuck.
Hey guys, how you doing?
How you doing?
Dondero, you made my afternoon. I was driving home, and you talked about Tatum and like how towards the end of games in the playoffs, and I feel like I'm like among my friends, I'm like the only one that's like coming down on Tatum towards the end of games, and like the way he slows the ball down and pounds it into the court, and the turnover prone, and the stats back it up. I mean, he does turn over the ball, and he takes that sidestep 3-pointer, and I don't know, like he does tighten up, and maybe it'll be different this year because he's been out most of the year if he defers a little more to Brown, but also Brown's he's kind of turnover prone too. His handle has tightened over the years, but they do scare me. And I mean, look at the last game against the Knicks, right? I mean, he looked pretty bad down the stretch. Now I know it was his first game back at Madison Square Garden, but and then you look at Brunson, who just kills it down the stretch. So they definitely scare me down the stretch. And if there's that one Achilles heel, is that they do tighten offensively.
Thanks for the call, Chuck. It's just hard because they're not in that situation very often. Like I said, they're either playing a team that's tanking or they're playing a team that they beat by a lot because the shots were falling that night, or they lose the game. And it's just hard to be in a close game against a good team. You're not always playing a good team. The game's not always going to be close. I'm just telling you. I watch a lot. I mean, by the way, did you see some of the possessions Jaylen Brown had today?
Yeah.
Dribble.
It took a while.
Forced his way into the paint, put up a bad shot, they weren't good possessions. Now nobody's going to talk about that because you were winning, the avalanche was on. But if that was an end of game situation, not a good scenario for the Celtics. So, look,
it's tough. He led the team in scoring as well with the 26 today. I would also point out to the Jaylen Brown point, he did not play that last game against the Knicks, even though there is no consolation in any of that stuff. It's all game to game. But now they'll be at full force, assuming that the Knicks can advance beyond the Hawks. And the second round, I am eager for next week, the next week and a half once we get to that second round.
Nobody will stand up faster and give them credit if they can prove me wrong or anybody that thinks in the way I think wrong and win close games against a team like the New York Knicks. I will stand up so fast and I will give them every flower I can find in the garden.
It's tough. I don't even fear them, so not even an iota. Last year was an admiration.
How are you not fear the Knicks?
I don't.
Did they play the Celtics this year? How'd they do? I understand Tatum wasn't there. How'd they do against the Celtics? What is it, 3-1 New York?
I just think, to the last game's point, right? I didn't think, Josh Hart was out of his mind in that particular game.
At the end of the game, he was out of his mind.
Are we going to get 4 games of that in the positive direction for the Knicks? I just doubt that.
So you think they're going to blow out the Knicks how many games in a series? They'll have how many convincing wins?
Well, I'm just going to, I would say 6, and right, they have to win some
I think
games
you're
here,
nuts for not having more respect for the Knicks. I think you're crazy.
Yeah, I don't. I just it's more than just an on the paper thing. It's to even be in a close game with this Knicks team means that you are letting them go on runs, that you're not putting the ball into the basket, you're having lapses defensively, because positionally, just position by position, we should be able to defend them. We should be able to put the ball into the basket, do anything that we want kind of at will. And to speak to the point that even last year, that's how they got out to these big leads. It's just that they take the foot off the gas by getting comfortable and lackadaisical with these shots.
Yeah.
Get very lazy with it. It's a lazy freaking offense to go ahead and play ring around the rosy for 4 quarters. So it's it's more than just like, oh, that's the open shot. A lot of times, you could be fatigued, or you're the fifth man shooting percentage-wise. Go ahead, we're giving you that shot. And then they fall into that trap. I think that they've improved, and we'll see them on all cylinders to be sure. But I think they're vastly superior to the Knicks.
I'm gonna give you some perspective, or take a different perspective when we get back on this topic, because I want to just point it. I want to paint it in a very specific way when we get back. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports. The Celtics, the Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports. the Sports Hub.
Back here on 98.5, the Sports Hub. This is the question I would ask. You play golf, George?
I am a hook and slicer.
Okay. So if you play golf, I love golf. I play golf any chance I get. I'm like a
I respect
10,
you for that.
11. I'm like 11.
I still respect you for that. It is a talent.
So let me just say this, okay? If you can play golf well, there are times where I'm playing golf well, and I'm, hitting fairways and greens and two-putting and pars, and I'm just, rinse, repeat. And it feels like in those moments, how can I ever play this game so poorly? It's so easy. Just fairway, green, two-putt, par. Fairway, green, two-putt, par. That's one side of it. Then there are other times where you can't find anything. You have no clue where it's going. You have no clue what you're doing. You can't hit a fairway. You can't get to the green. Even if you get to the green, it is a hopeless mess. And you think to yourself, how do I ever play this game well? And I think that's like the Boston Celtics. When we have a day like today, and you look at the roster and you look at a potential matchup with the Knicks and you think about what happened today, how could they ever lose that game? How could they ever lose to that team with the way they did this today and they played well and they did? No, because you forget when they get into another rhythm that isn't as prosperous and they're playing poorly, they can't figure out worth a damn how to win that game. And I'm talking about a close game late when they get into a bad way. That's the Celtics. Right now, you can't even imagine them losing to this team or that roster. But when it gets bad, or when they start missing the threes dry up, or they're in a close game and then they lose one, and then they get in another close game and you don't feel good about it because they just lost one and your best player looks like garbage, that's when it's, how do we ever figure out how to win a game?
Well, I would say it's possession to possession, all situational. We have too good of a shooting team to shoot ourselves in the foot, no pun intended here. And I would also say if you're working it inside and out, there's ways in basketball, like if you're not hitting the fairways and things like that, in golf being just the one-off sport, just you against yourself, you can find the hot hand. You can go to the basket. You can force the foul, see the ball go in. So I think that there's.
I understand.
I love the analogy.
My point is, though, George, you have the Avalanche Celtics and then the close game Celtics. And that's the golf analogy. The Avalanche Celtics are fairways, greens, two putts. The close game Celtics are I can't figure anything out. And that's the difference. It can happen. And that's how I feel. When I look at this team, I see how they play today. How is any team going to slow them down? All of a sudden, they'll get into a close game, and they'll find a way to lose, and then the team feeds off, their opponent feeds off of that, and then they lose another one. Then maybe the other team gets hot one time, and then all of a sudden they've lost 3 games in the series, and they're in trouble. That's all I'm saying. Frank is in Belmont. Hey, Frank. Frankie.
Frank.
We lost Frank. Put him on hold. Let's go to John in the car. Hey, John.
Hey, who's the producer? George here?
George is the producer.
Talking to?
Yeah.
George, thoughts and prayers to you today. First of all, I just tuned in. We got Will Campbell calling in about his all of his things that he's afraid about for the Boston Celtics, everything that keeps him up at night. Then you got Dondero making like analogies to the guy who hacks around on a golf course on Saturdays. Like, I don't know what the heck that is. Then it's like, oh, we're making up all these hypotheticals. And he jumps on your back because you said, I don't think Josh Hart's going to hit threes like that for 4 games in a row.
John, what's your point? What's your point?
You disrespected the Knicks. You disrespected the Knicks because, like, I don't know what you're talking about ever. Like, first, here's the point. Jaylen Brown, actual stats. Yeah, he played like crap in the first half. I agree with that point you made. But the second point is he went 4 for 12 in the first half. How did he do the rest of the game? He went 10 for 20. Backed it up in the second half, came alive. How about Tatum? Tatum started hot. How did he finish? Oh, putting the ball around the court. Everybody else is scoring perfect game, like especially the second half. Like, you're just making stuff up, like hypotheticals. Oh my goodness! And then one thing they say about Josh Hart, and you're like, oh, don't disrespect the Knicks. Don't disrespect the Knicks.
All right,
Like,
thanks for the. I didn't follow John's
Follow
call
Nick.
fully.
I love John.
My point is, okay, if you're confused, today was a great game, but I don't think it taught us anything about the long-term prospects of these Boston Celtics being able to win the championship.
You know
That's
what's crazy,
my overriding point.
Is your overall point. I am so with this too because I'm an even keel person. I hate somebody celebrating, the first inning home run. The World Baseball Classic, the Dominicans, I think, had an example like that. Whoever team they were facing or whatever, first inning home run, dancing, all that kind of stuff. Calm down. There's the rest of the game to go on. I think that there's the rest of playoffs to kind of go with, and to containing the excitement. I am definitely with that. Now we do have a show to do today, and
we're doing it.
That immediate reaction, so I
Look,
will allow it for the
if you
people
notice,
coming home. And
I didn't talk like this back in 2018 or 2019 or during the bubble and the pandemic year, because they hadn't developed this pattern yet.
Right.
What I don't understand is how a team this good, that's this talented, that wins this many games, finds ways to fumble away opportunities in the close games as often as they have. That's my point. And it's a fascinating case study. I think it's really interesting.
It's clouded your judgment to be fearful of the Knicks, though. I would say that.
I
know that
you're crazy.
They beat us last year. Okay, I can understand that. I'm not going to give them any credit for that. I just don't. We blew the 2 games. The Tatum injury happens. People just like, oh, we were going to lose anyways. I am not going to concede that.
I think part of it, and I'll be honest here, George, I knew, and there's a tweet from, I think, 2024, okay, during that run, where I alluded to being or having some trepidation about a potential matchup with the Knicks. It didn't end up happening. And I got a ton of heat. Okay, so I was already fearful a little bit of the Knicks before last year. I saw that they were pretty good in close games. I didn't know they'd be able to keep it close if they played the Celtics, but last year they obviously were. And they did prevail in the close games. We're going to find out. We're all going to find out, okay? I'm going to see if Frank is back. Frank, are you there? Frank.
Yes. Thank you for giving me another shot here.
Problem.
I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you.
Okay, great. So I love your passion, and I think you really epitomized the mindset of your typical 59-year-old Boston sports fan, and saying as much as you came across as critical in terms of the Celtics win today, you also said you would be the first one standing up and giving them all the flowers that were there to be given. So thank you. That couldn't have epitomized what we're all about here. But secondly, in terms of talking with the Knicks, I mean, I hear this all the time. It's not just, this particular show, which I love. But in terms of talking about them, I think it's premature. And I think of my 17-year-old son who's playing, high school baseball before his first game, said he was playing a particular town and that they're going to absolutely destroy them. And then they ended up losing 16-2. And I just don't understand why time and time again, and I've been guilty of it myself, don't get me wrong, but I just don't understand why time and time again, people even go down that road where, even talking about the Knicks, where we haven't even taken care of business, with the Philadelphia 76ers.
All right, well, thanks for the call, Frank. Well, number one, I'm not on the team, so I don't have to worry about that. Your son's on the baseball team, so I would understand why you would give him that advice. I would agree with that. Number two, I'm not on every day. So I sometimes I'll say things knowing I'm not going to have a daily opportunity to make my points. So that's in part why I'll look ahead a little bit. Maz always has, Felger and Maz have a show to do today. They're on every day. So I'm not on every day. So I don't always have a show to do today. So sometimes I'll think ahead.
Great call, Frank. I'll accept you yelling at me for the, just dismissing the Sixers.
Do you want me to take the Sixers? Are they going to win this series?
That's what I would pose to Frank, is especially after today. I know they were Embiid-less.
Embiid's not coming back, I don't think.
Even with Embiid back and healthy, above 90%, I don't think that he's making up the gap that the Celtics and the Sixers are where they are. There's a reason why the Sixers were a play-in team, and then there's a reason why the Celtics were the number 2 seed. I would say that down the stretch they played their best basketball too, with Tatum coming back.
And another thing, George, vibes. I think the Celtics vibes, Tatum, Brown, specifically Tatum, they like the Sixers vibes. They've had success against the Sixers. Jason Tatum, Game 6, I forget what year that was. in Philadelphia. Remember what he did at the end of the game there to help the Celtics win? Then what happened the next one in Game 7? The 50 burger at TD Garden. He's got good vibes against the Sixers. Good things have happened.
That's what I was telling you. Yeah, welcome back. It's like a tradition. I'm so happy. It's like we're facing the Sixers, and it's like this. They're going to fall right into it. It's something like 82 or 83 the last time they had beaten the Celtics in a series in the playoffs. It's just like, wow, you know what? This is kind of a tradition here.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and pick on the little brothers. Trust the process. My ass. Sorry, Stenberg. It's a team that I've not feared playing with your spaghetti, eating it too kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Sixers are the spaghetti.
And
I'm not
going
to respect them.
Before we get off, we're going to talk a little Bruins here. I'm not saying this isn't something they can't figure out. You know what I mean? This is something I think they can figure out. Steph Curry figured it out. They've done it in the past. Tatum has done it in the past. I'm not saying they can't figure it out. I'm just saying for as good as they are, I haven't seen it as consistently in the tight games enough. And we will find out if they play the Knicks and other teams too. We're going to find out.
I wouldn't crown them after the Knicks, though, or a successful season
I didn't
as well.
crown them. I'm saying it would be
for the successful season, though.
I
couldn't do that. I couldn't do that.
No,
They lose to the Pistons and the Cavs. It's a disappointing season. We're better than them. You'll see it.
Okay.
You will be disappointed if we lose in the East
Sure.
Finals. You will.
All right, fine. I just think it would be a step. The reason, George, is because I know they're going to have to win close games to beat the Knicks. So if they beat the Knicks and they're able to win those types of games in that form and fashion, that would be progress to me.
What if they front run and blow them out all 4 games?
That wouldn't be. I mean, it would be impressive that they were able to bounce back, Tatum back from injury, and kind of, get some redemption for what happened last year.
I will remind you, you were scared of them. I will remind
you. You do remind me that. You remind me. I will be impressed, and they will get flowers. It won't make me feel any better about their prospect in close games. But I will be impressed, and I will give them flowers if they beat the Knicks in 4 blowout games. Doesn't even have to be a sweep.
To be fair, I'm compromised. I have family in the Bronx. They give me crap for all this stuff. And the Knicks having beaten the Celtics the past couple playoff series is embarrassing.
They're going to be there for this. That series will not be easy. That will not be an easy series.
I expect more out of the Hawks, too. Come on, Hawks.
Not be an easy series. 617-779-0985. But we have a more to look forward to in this series first. I get it. But we can look ahead. So, all right, we're going to talk about the Bruins. They're getting their playoff run started in about an hour. So we'll get into that. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5. player, no matter what coach, no matter what game, it all happens here. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
We know how I have to play. We're going to be ready to go. We're excited. We are bigger, stronger. We are more physical. We just have to be smart, but we're going to go after them. And whoever comes in, first line, second, I don't really care. We try to play our game and not their game.
You know, that's his take on his team. I have a lot of respect for, what our team has done and how we play and the speed we play the game. And they've got a good team. I mean, they know who they are and we know who we are.
So that was Marco Sturm, Lindy Ruff. Typically, I'm not big on talking ish in the media. I'm all for it between the lines. If you want to be strategic about it, I'm okay. I don't not like necessarily what Marco Sturm has said, in regards to we're bigger, we're stronger. I just wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it because you've won nothing. You haven't won anything. These Bruins in the playoffs recently have won very little, if anything. It's not the time, I don't think, to publicly say something like that. Now, I would say it to the team. I'd make sure they believed in those words. Not the message that I would want Buffalo, a team that, despite the fact they finished, higher than you did and they won the Atlantic Division, you did beat them 3 out of 4 times this year. So that's a good sign for the Bruins, and I think they can win the series. So, if you feel that way, I don't feel like there's a need to give the opposing team any more motivation or fuel than necessary. That's all.
I loved it. I personally loved it.
Yeah.
I got browsing the locker room sound for the Sabres. Looks like they're all in a tizzy. You know what? If that's locker room motivation for them and they needed that, to kind of be the lightning rod to galvanize the crew, you know what? You're not going to make a long run for the Stanley Cup anyways. So I do think he is calling out the team, but I find it more to be just like, international German flavor. He's a literal man. He's just telling it like it is, trying not to invoke any emotion. But I will give him credit. I do think it more so than, what it is for locker room fodder. I think that it is a shot to the team. He's calling out the Bruins for that physicality. We had plenty of calls yesterday on Leroy and Cerrone. A lot of the Bruins fans clamoring for that forecheck and physical style of Bruins play. I think that if we can limit that speed for the Sabres and play the physical style, I think being the big bad Bruins and being physical, calling out Tanner Jeannot, Mark Kastelik, let's go. I would say that the matchup then clearly favors the Bruins, and then Swayman. I think that's another matchup to look at the goaltending matchup.
Why not 3-1? Or you 3 out of 4 in the regular. I mean, it's not like they're going to be overmatched. They've got guys that have some playoff experience, but it's not an organization that's been through it together many times over.
Right, and on the opposite end, right, of the spectrum, the Sabres not having any playoff experience.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, the Sabres. That's what I'm talking about, yeah. I know Lindy Ruff's been in the playoffs a bunch, but I'm just saying together as a unit, they haven't been there. I think the series is close to a toss-up for me.
But matchup-wise, I would think this and Montreal would have been the ones that don't scare me as much.
Correct.
And then Tampa and Carolina wanted to avoid those like the plague. Even though Tampa would have been fun, Carolina, I think, is the class of the East, unfortunately. So if we can steal one, I think we're going to need Swayman to stand on his head. On top of getting some more offense, we'll see how the power play 2 looks, or special teams in general. If we can get on the power play and take advantage of the man advantage. It'll be interesting. I need Swayman to stand on his head a la Tim Thomas of 2011. And if we can win the goaltending matchup, I heard a lot of this on Felger Mazin on the hockey show with Ty Anderson. They're playing without Alex Lyon right now, which would be their number one. Now, they have a more platoon situation over there in Buffalo, but it's Swayman versus Luukkonen. Excuse me. So it's I would like to think that the high-paid goalie would elevate the team. A lot of it will depend on the Bruins and clearing traffic out in front for them and playing a decent, clean game. I think they're capable of it, though, as evidenced in the season series with Buffalo. I'm eager for this. I'm very excited, actually, for the Bruins because I have confidence that they can steal 4 games versus Buffalo. I think that they're ready to make some noise, and in that, bring on who it may be in round 2. And
I mean, look, we'll see.
House money.
Yeah. Fine, I could say that. I think they're going to need. They're going to need their star. I think they're going to need it all, George. They're going to need, obviously, Jeremy Swayman to play well. They're going to need their top guys. I'll tell you another thing that I'm going to be looking to see. I've been looking for years because I think he's good when he does it. I want to see Charlie McAvoy be aggressive offensively. I want to see him shooting the puck.
I would say I was high on McAvoy this year.
Yes, he played well, and he's had more assists. He's been more. I want to see that continue. Another factor, I think, not just for this series but in general, will be that Jeannot, Corrali, Kastelik line. You got to continue to find production from everywhere. That's what they're going to need. And I've thought about this for a long time, George. Where did they go wrong since 2011? And I understand they were in the Cup final multiple times, but why couldn't they win it again? And I think it's the depth of the lines 2, 3, and I guess 4, but specifically 2 and 3.
You're spot on. I love that point, too. Going to that 11 team, we were stacked there from the middle 6, we'll call it, or whatever, with the Michael Ryders, Mark Recchi's of the world. Sagan at that point, where we weren't banking on him. To the Sagan point, if we can have Higgins give us any bit, he looks like he could skate. I mean, we had a couple games, little small sample size, but he could skate very well. I'm eager to see, if and when he gets that opportunity. I'm trying to get clarification if he is going to play tonight.
Well, he should. Put him out there.
Honestly,
put him out there. Absolutely should.
I mean, Reichel, God bless him, or the Alex Steves of the world. I love them for what they brought. I mean, the ceiling for Higgins is up there. You could see just how freely he skates out there with the speed as well. Hopefully he can eliminate turnovers, little things and then the physical part of it. He's not grown into the body yet, but I think we need as much offensive production as we can get from those middle 6, and eager to see if the kid plays. I
really hope he does. I think Don Sweeney's drafting has been a part of the problem. We always talk about the 2015 draft. I think overall his inability to fill the middle tier of the roster with depth. He's done it with trades and with some free agent acquisitions, but you need to do it in the draft. I told you I'm a draft junkie. You got to do it in the draft. 5 teams, 5 organizations have won multiple Stanley Cups since the Bruins won in 2011. 5. Why couldn't the Bruins, with Marchand early on, with Bergeron in his core?
I will go, and to piggyback off that point, I would think that Tuukka Rask left a little bit to be
desired
as well.
But I don't think he
didn't have that Tim Thomas. Right?
I had a distaste for Tuukka. I don't think he was the biggest problem. And, they're still trying to figure it out, and they're going to try to figure it out again in about 45 minutes. We're going to take a quick break. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports.
Boston sports, yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
It was interesting with this team because we played them early on. I think it was the third game or something. And we're still the same Buffalo Sabres, right? Very talented. Could have gone either way. They gambled a lot. And for not for a long time, I don't know how long, it kind of looked that way. It's going to be the same season again. And all of a sudden, they figured it out. And now, I think now they're for real. They play better defensively. They're structured better, and they have all the talent they collected in the past. All of a sudden, they came to shine. So that was the difference. And I don't know what was why did it happen at a certain time? I don't know, but I think this team is for real now, and they know how to win now. So it's going to be it's going to be hard. It's going to be a good test, but also a lot of players on their side never been in that situation. So we have to take advantage of that.
What is a successful season for the Bruins now that the playoffs are among us?
Now, that's a little different than the Celtics because expectations for the Celtics and having been there. I could ask the producer for the Bruins, the Jeremy Conley, that exact question.
I think that the success of this season, obviously it's been a successful season to this point. However,
he agrees.
Yeah. My point, though, is that when they won a record-setting however many games under Jim Montgomery that year when it was, 2022? 23?
23.
Okay. That was a devastating end of the season. Okay? So my point is, that year, I didn't take anything away from the regular season because the postseason was so disappointing. How could I? So why would I take something away from this regular season? Are we going to move the goalpost because the expectations were lower? I don't see why that should be applicable. So to me, I think a successful season for the Bruins would be winning 2 playoff series, something they haven't done since the year they went to the Cup final. That's an ultimate successful season for me. Maybe it's unfair, but I don't care. Because what happened was when they proved they were better than a lot of us thought, we had to shift our expectations. And they made the playoffs, and now they're playing a team that they've beaten 3 out of 4 times in the regular season. So I'm making it, a little bit harder on them to achieve the goal of having the proverbial successful season. So I think they need to make the conference finals to really have a successful season. I'm not saying it's a failure if they don't make the conference finals. That's not what I'm saying. It could be adequate making the playoffs, doing what they did in the regular season. I just feel like you want real success, show me real progress. We're putting a ton of weight on how you do in the playoffs, right? 2023? Because that record-setting regular season wasn't enough. The guy was gone less than 2 years later. Didn't take that into account. It was an ultimate disgrace and disappointment when they lost in those playoffs, so they overachieved this year during the regular season. So what? You got to win in the playoffs.
Nice. And now that we've made that coaching swap as well, what do you make of Marco Sturm in his first year at the helm?
I've loved it. I think it's been really good.
I agree as well. I like the good cop, bad cop component. We kind of had a players coach in Montgomery the last time around, and now we have one that kind of tells it as it is. I'm a fan of Marco Sturm. He was a former player as well, I think, which helps.
Sure.
So it'll be interesting to see how he manages the roster. I think it's mostly young and has overachieved to this point. I'm in agreement with Jeremy that it's this, unlike the Celtics, is more of a victory that we thought they were a fringe kind of playoff team. They were the first wild card and kind of in position going into that last couple months of the season, and they were able to make the playoffs and not fall on their faces. So I'm ultimately happy that we've made it this far, and to get the matchup that Buffalo is, I'm not fearful of them. Much like the Knicks and the Celtics, I am not fearful of the Sabres. They're going to have to skate circles around us and put the puck in the net and make Swayman look like he has holes in the game. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to punch them in the mouth, play them, and try to slow them down. I hope that's going to be the style of this game, and we'll find out in T-minus 33 minutes.
They've been hot. The Sabres have been hot, especially since the first of the year, whenever. I'm just saying, I feel like the way the Bruins are constructed in this series, they're going to be right there to win it, and we saw it during the regular season. And if Swayman plays well, obviously the goaltending will shift, will impact the series. If one of the goalies is a sieve, that's not going to help. I don't expect Jeremy Swayman to do that, though. I think he's going to play well based on how he's played since the Olympics. He's played well. I think he's going to be there doing what he needs to do for the Bruins, and I think they're going to be right there to win this series. I don't care that they finish higher than you. This is the NHL. Weird things are allowed to happen in the NHL, okay? And I think they could here. I kind of like the Bruins in this spot. Give me an aggressive Charlie McAvoy. The only thing about Sturm, we saw Bruce Cassidy come in with some fanfare, and things were pretty good. Obviously, Jim Montgomery came in guns a-blazing and, the fire of 1,000 suns, and they looked really good. And in both times, it ended pretty disappointingly, whether it was because of bad playoff losses or just the front office doing it the way they, handling it the way they handled it.
And finally, Stanley Cup playoffs, no other equal, I would say.
Sure.
Top notch in all sports.
Sure. I mean, that's a separate conversation. But the intensity of the grind of the Stanley Cup playoffs is arguably unmatched, and it's going to be fun to watch the Bruins get back involved with that. I just feel like based on what we were the last time we were in the playoffs, if you really want success, you win more than one round. I'm not saying it's a failure if they don't. Still a good, productive season, but you're talking real success, keep that bar high. Win more than a round. All right, George, as always, thanks, man. We'll see you at the Cask and Flagon tomorrow. Coming up next, Game 1, Bruins, Sabres. Let's throw it to, what's the name of the arena? What did I say? The KeyBank Center in Buffalo. Ryan Johnston, Bob Beers, Game 1, Bruins, Sabres. Enjoy.